Yo, 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 yo. It's
Right.
James
That
from the
was
Watch That.
bad.
That was pretty bad,
That was bad. You think you Charlemagne? That was not good. Let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Okay. What's up, y'all?
All right.
Why can't I do it? It's so bad.
We're keeping this in the audio, by the way. We're not editing this out.
We're not editing it out.
No, we are not editing this out. I need the people to know what I deal with.
Every day.
Yeah.
Well, welcome y'all to another episode of the Watch That Joan podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Mary. Thanks for coming back once again for another week of madness.
Yes, madness. And the topic of these episodes we've been doing recently is House of the Dragon Season 2. This last episode was episode 5, Regent.
What? I have a quick question.
Yeah.
It's a stupid question. When I say it, when I think about it, do you think House of the Dragon is anywhere near as big as Game of Thrones?
I don't think that's a dumb question. I think,
Because Game of Thrones was such a cultural movement. Like, you could not hop online and not see a Twitter post or an IG post or a meme about Game of Thrones. Everyone waited for the premiere of every season with bated breath. It was so fun.
But that took years. You know, Game of Thrones, I didn't watch it until probably it was in its 5th season.
That is true.
I think it took a while to get that following. Like, nerds instantly like Game of Thrones. But I think when he realized
you think people who are familiar with the book.
Yes, people familiar with the book. But I think the normal people, people who realize that it's violence with hot people having sex. And
James, you know that we fall into that nerd category too. I just want you to know that.
No, absolutely. We're doing a podcast about movies, Mary. There's nothing nerdier. But what I'm saying is I think it got more mainstream when people like a few seasons later. So I don't think this is as big as Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I don't think anything is as big as Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, like you said, was...
I know what's bigger than Game of Thrones.
What?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe at its peak. I'm talking about Thanos. And I'm talking about Iron Man. I don't think Marvel will ever reach that former glory. And I feel the same way about all the Game of Thrones franchise because the 8th season was such a mess that I think that's why House of the Dragon will never be as big as Game of Thrones.
So then I ask you this then, right? Do you think these season and a half so far of House of Dragons redeemed the terrible last season of Game of Thrones?
Honestly, I'm one of the few people who do not think the last season of Game of Thrones was that terrible. I think it was rushed. I think it wasn't as good as the other seasons, but I didn't. That didn't ruin Game of Thrones to me. So I may not be the person to answer that question because to me it didn't feel like Game of Thrones needed to be redeemed. I understand what people are complaining about, but I didn't feel too strongly about it.
Yeah.
Well, I felt strongly, but I didn't feel like, oh my God, you guys, this was awful. This was terrible. You did all of Game of Thrones dirty. I didn't feel that way. Did you feel that way? To answer your own question?
I did not like the way it ended, but not so much because I thought they executed poorly. But I thought I waited all this time for Bronn to be king. Maybe kind of got me pissed off.
For Bran?
Yeah, for Bran to be king kind of got me pissed off because every time they showed his segment on the show and his like storyline, I kind of wanted to fall asleep. I was just bored the entire time. And then he became the king. I'm like, okay, this is stupid, but whatever, you know? So I think this has reminded me of Game of Thrones and how excited I was with watching it.
Oh, you feel that excitement again?
I feel not as much though.
Okay,
but I do feel excitement again. And until to be honest with you, last episode was fire.
I was like, let's go.
Yeah, last episode was fire, and I caught myself wanting to get to Sunday night. You know, waiting all day for Sunday night for this last episode.
It's like a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not. You're obsessed with football, so it's. But I get it. I get it. But all right, guys, let's get into episode 5, you really are going through this season. You think we'll have like 3 or 5 more episodes left?
It's hard. I think it makes sense we're about in the midpoint, because the war has turned its first has gotten bloody.
Yeah, that is true. I still want more though.
Yeah.
I want more.
I want more too.
Yeah.
But we already lost 2
The
dragons.
bloodlust has a.
We lost 2 dragons so far.
Well,
the
apparently
king is on his deathbed.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much. I don't know. I think about 5 episodes is probably good. It's probably good.
I'd be happy
to
if we get 5. I'd be happy. I was expecting 3. I was expecting an 8-season episode.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
5 would be good. But yeah. So this episode starts off with the sea snake, Corlys, and obviously he is grieving Rhaenys, Auntie Ray Ray.
Yeah, because she went down like a F and G.
She did.
Like we talked about, right? But they had I feel like they had the most loving relationship on this show from husband and wife standpoint.
Absolutely.
Like they showed affection to each other. Like they would go and like still moments with each other, and
Yeah.
they disagreed about who should be the heir, and take over the
Driftmark.
Driftmark, right? And they had obviously their history about Alan being his potential son, but you could tell that they shared an affection with one another that was genuine.
There is a lot of love there, yeah. And they both seemed really into each other. Like they both still seemed to be attracted to each other. Like even though they didn't do anything overtly sexual, I don't know, they had a chemistry.
They did.
They did have a chemistry, and they had a respect for one another too.
Exactly, and that's rare, right? They were a definition, in my opinion, of a power couple. They could do their stuff independently, all right. And she was the queen who never was, and he was, like you said, the sea snake, the Lord of Driftmark.
Yeah.
So it's about that scene. It's funny, right? Because that scene, he walked into the Hall of Nine, I believe it's called, right? When he was sitting on his throne. Apparently, most of that room was built using CGI, because that scene, his hall, they showed it a lot in season 1, but since then they kind of tore it down. It didn't exist anymore.
Oh,
So
they
instead of
tore down the
rebuilding-
physical set.
Yes, they broke down the set. So instead of going and recreating the set, they kind of put him in a room. His throne was real, but then they kind of put blue walls all on the room and did it digitally.
I never would have guessed.
Cool.
CGI is crazy. What they can do with CGI
It's
is
crazy.
absolutely insane. Because normally you can kind of tell when something is computer generated. Like if you're watching a Marvel battle, like I said, you can tell that Thanos is not that's CGI, and they used a real person's face. But that I couldn't have told that. I didn't recognize it at all. But I do feel bad for Corlys, because he literally lost everyone. He thinks his son Laenor is dead. His daughter
Might as well be
Lena,
dead.
yeah, his daughter Lena, like I said, Vhagar blew her the fuck up, and now Rhaenys exploded with Melees. So he literally doesn't have anyone besides his 2 grandchildren, and
then his grandson Luke got eaten too.
yeah, Luke got ate up. You're right. I forgot about Luke. He's lost so many, and I think he said something like that. I think he said that Driftmark is like a burial ground. He said something along the lines of that, and it's just you're right. Like a lot of people that a lot of your close immediate family. Well, your immediate family is gone.
Yeah.
But even one of your grandchildren is gone too, and it's just it's funny because last episode Rhaenys was telling Corlys, she was like, "Listen, if something happens to you, who's going to be the Lord of Driftmark? We need to figure that out." And he's like, "No, we're fine. Nothing's going to happen." And now Rhaenys is gone, and now he's like, "Oh man, it's only me." So I do feel for him. So after that scene, we get to King's Landing, and I swear the townspeople are fed up. They're like, "What is wrong with why y'all always parading beheaded things through our streets? We don't want to see it. This is weird. Y'all are weird."
I don't know why the crown just has such bloodlust, and just think that
As soon
normal
as Viserys died, it's just been, yes, bloodlusty people. Like, yeah.
Yes. Right, and they're dragging. So they start dragging Maylise's head throughout the town square, and they're saying, "This is Maylise, the traitor dragon who has been slain by your king." And people are looking absolutely disgusted, Mary.
They're saying it's a bad omen. Someone said this is an abomination. Like, why do y'all keep
Like-
doing this? Leave us alone.
Exactly. Leave us alone. And they even said, I thought, one guy came up and said, I thought dragons were gods. Right. And the thing is that the Targaryens, right, they've been in rule for a long time. And the main reason they've been in rule is because for some reason the dragons bang with them.
It's like, and my thing is, who's gonna question someone who has a dragon? If you have a dragon,
Exactly.
you win. The dragon is an apex predator of the apex predator. If you can have dragons
Exactly.
bow to your will, well, to some extent,
Yep.
you big dog. I have no questions.
So but if dragons can be killed, and if dragons aren't God, that means the Targaryens can be killed, and the Targaryens aren't God, aren't special either. So that takes the whole like appeal of the royal family and drops it a peg or two. You know?
Oh,
And
you think for both sides? So you think Cole didn't
Yes.
like? Yes, they're fighting inside the house because so it's like, okay, you guys are not only damaging Rhaenyra's power, but also your own power because you guys are. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, basically because they're fighting, but from the people's standpoint, it's the same family.
It's the same.
You know,
fucking
it's
family. Yeah.
It's the Targaryens, you know,
Yeah.
so people don't have as much sympathy.
Yeah.
And the only person I feel like who understands that is
Otto.
the queen.
Oh, Alicent.
No, the queen. No,
Helena.
the daughter.
Helena. Helena's
She's the only one
locked
who
in.
understands. Yes, she understands because when she lost her child, she was like, "Why would people care about me? I guarantee common folk lose their children more." So it's just a lack
Yeah.
of touch and a miscalculation from Cole's standpoint. I
He's
think
just
Cole
so
also needed to
violent.
boost his ego.
Yeah, and he hates Rhaenyra
Yeah.
so much. Like, oh my god, he's so hurt. He's so hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like, people, even the town people are like, yo, Rhaenyra will answer this. Like, she's not going to let
Yeah.
you parade Maylise, her aunt's dragon, throughout the streets like this. And you think there won't be no retaliation?
Yeah,
They're saying this is a
You
black
can't- You
omen.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about that scene of them parading Maylise throughout the streets, we caught a glimpse of the rat catchers who are still hanging in the streets. So I think what they were trying to tell
Still
us,
hanging in the streets.
and remember what Otto Hightower said. He said those are people's brothers and uncles and husbands and sons. So it's just showing us Aegon's rule is really rubbing the townspeople the wrong way. It's just too much brutality, and
It
they're
is.
getting fed up. And we find out later in the episode how fed up they really are.
Yeah, you know, because they had peace, and they said several times in this show, even later on, that when the rich raise war, it's the poor who die. Right? It's
That's a song.
It's
Isn't
the
it a Tupac
women
song?
and children and the weak. No,
When the rich raise,
I remember
that's
it on,
a quote.
Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park. Yeah, it's a quote. But I remember Lincoln Park saying it.
I'm
When
gonna
the rich
Google it.
raise war, it's the poor who die.
Welcome to Google
Yeah.
that, John, y'all. When
Google that, John.
the rich wage war. Oh yeah, a song by Linkin Park, "Hands Held High." Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Lincoln Park was it, yo.
Rest in
Like,
peace to the dude
that's
who
one
killed
of
himself.
Oh yeah, for real.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Okay, so yeah, so that scene where they walked into King's Landing, it was recorded in, I think it's called Trujillo, Spain, which is actually pretty cool. You know that they can go,
How do you spell it?
and they weren't just in the. How to spell stuff, man.
It's fine. It's fine. Continue.
Yeah, so I think it's Trujillo.
You have a wife who speaks fluent Spanish. You know. How did she tell you how to pronounce it?
No, it's Trujillo,
Okay.
right? And
So
if you
King's
look at if
Landing
you
was
Google that
recorded
city,
in Trujillo, Spain?
yes, at least that scene. And if you look through the
Okay.
Google images,
Okay.
you can see absolutely why they chose this town. It's like
Oh.
old and look ancient, and it's just beautiful.
Now I
And
want to
it's
see
like
it. Spell it.
there's even it's Trujillo, Trujillo. It's a municipality in Spain, and this place is gorgeous, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the structures.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
This is
looks
giving King's
just
Landing.
like
It's beautiful.
yeah, it's in the Province of Caceres.
Yeah. This is definitely giving King's Landing. Definitely. Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
should look it up. It's Trujillo in Spain. Just look at some quick
yes,
images and you guys will get it. You guys will get it. But
yes,
yeah,
and
that's interesting.
and then the ever scenes later on the film with the scenery and like when they're in like the grasslands. Well, it's called the Riverlands, but when they're in northern Wales, and just
I figured it was
this
somewhere
earth
in
is
the
beautiful,
UK. I was
y'all.
like, I wouldn't be
Just
surprised if it was Ireland because I know a
yeah,
lot of Game of Thrones was shot in Ireland. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. This is a beautiful world, so get out there and explore, y'all.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Go check it out.
But yeah, one thing. So one thing that I noticed. Did you notice that Allison knew what was up immediately? Like
Yeah, she did.
She
She
did.
looked. She Yeah, she did. She looked right at Aemon, right, and he realized that he had Aegon's dagger, and she looked at him, and then she saw how smug he looked.
That man
You
is the
know,
most smug man in the entire show.
like your brother's in a casket. You know that this is not just bad for your brother, but bad for your entire family. That the king is mortally injured, right? And he just sitting there smug because he knows that he's next.
It's just, and I kind of like that though because it makes him so hard to read. You never know what this man is thinking. Everything he does to me is just some wild card stuff. Like
Yeah,
I did not expect him to attack Aegon like that. And
yeah.
seeing Aegon burned so badly that his armor has been welded to his body.
Ugh, just disgusting. Just how pussy it was, and
Yeah.
just as they were trying to save him and take his armor off. So apparently, it's a it's a thing that Valerian steel is fireproof, which in itself is hard, right? It's like they made steel fireproof. So the steel apparently got heated up so hot that it stuck to his skin. But the fire itself didn't burn him, which is probably why he's alive. It don't make any sense because he fell from like 300 feet.
He fell from a very high height, but I'm thinking maybe falling on Sunfire kind of broke his fall a little bit.
Maybe he like fell. Maybe he like
Because he did have
didn't.
shattered bones, and they did say he definitely has some internal damage too. Probably some internal organ damage.
I just know people fall for ladder and they don't have a femur anymore. So I don't know how this man falls off of a
Well,
dragon.
like I said, I think Sunfire broke his fall. He might have
Yeah, that
held
makes
on
sense.
to that's a big dragon.
Yeah.
And it's just what I noticed when they were working on Aegon. The camera pans so that Aegon and the maesters were in the background, and in the foreground you see a maester preparing aloe to put on Aegon's wounds. And to me, the aloe looked just like Aegon. You know when you get and you take like aloe off an aloe leaf, and the flesh of the aloe is very
It's like
fleshy
gelish.
and raw,
Yeah.
and just stringy. It looked just like Aegon's body. Just like, when they pulled his armor apart, you could see strings of his flesh pulling away with the armor too. And just like the aloe is a very fleshy thing, and he's just like raw, like literally like a raw sack of meat. So I thought that was interesting. And at one point you see Allison's nose turn up, And I'm like, I always heard that the smell of burning flesh is horrific.
Yeah.
Your face.
No, it is, and apparently it took the makeup artist 6 hours to put all that makeup on.
6
You know.
hours.
And they intentionally made it pussy and as disgusting as possible.
It needs to be.
Because think about it, if Allison have to watch it, or the actor playing Allison have to watch it, it makes it easier for her to have her nose flow up and be like.
Oh, so if
disgusting
it
when
actually
he
looks
actually
disgusting, yeah, it can. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, and just like, did you cringe when they snapped the bone back into place?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The whole time I'm thinking, man, medicine was terrible back then.
I know.
So this kid's going to have some type of infection.
He's probably going to die of an infection. Like, even if they get him all together, it's like, y'all don't even know proper hygiene at this point.
It's like, y'all don't even wash your hands,
It's
like,
funny. I was watching.
You don't have running water.
Yeah, literally. People still don't wash their hands, but, that's why COVID spread like that. So I know back then it was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But
bubonic plague.
Yeah, I was watching. I every now and again I watch. Have you heard of Shogun? It's on FX.
Like the Japanese like samurai thing. I heard of
Pretty
it.
much.
I saw it.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it a bit, and there's this character named John Blackthorne. He's from England, and he ends up in Japan, and he's pretty much a prisoner. It's weird. There's a lot of stuff going on in that show in a good way. So it's I'm not saying like it's weird. It's hard to explain. He's like a prisoner and a guest, but pretty much he's in a Japanese style home, and handmaidens come, and they're like, it's time for a bath. They'll prepare your bath for you. And he's like, bath? I just bathed early this week. And she was like, the Japanese are like, why don't you want to take a bath? And he was like, I literally 2 baths in 1 week. And it's like, yeah, they were nasty back then. And they're like, for some reason, this man doesn't want to take another bath. He thinks taking 2 baths in 1 week is so crazy. So I can only imagine that. But, Shogun, I don't know what time period it is, but I know it was hundreds of years after the episodes of the events of House of the Dragon. So I could imagine they were absolutely filthy. Like every time I watch House of the Dragon, I see people eat. I'm like, how are y'all not sick? Like, I know there's so much cross-contamination in that kitchen, and y'all don't wash your hands, and there are rats everywhere. I would not eat anything, especially meats.
No. Especially meat. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But the Shogun era lasted from 1192 to 1867. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
But either way, I do agree. It's after this has taken place,
Yeah, a lot after. So yeah. So you see Aemon walk in. How would you describe Aemon's demeanor when he walks in to look at his half dead brother?
I felt like he enjoyed it. And he was smug. He just enjoyed it. He was like, yeah, you laughed at me in that brothel. Now you dead. Like,
yeah, it's like, damn. Does that call for all this?
For all this, for all this. And he
Yeah.
just sit there and he's smugly was like, we need someone to replace him. Like, obviously, he can't rule from the mattress,
But it's like
we know
the
we
fact
need
that
someone to
that's
replace
the
him.
first thing you say. He didn't
Exactly.
say anything about what happens, but that's the first place you go is we need.
Don't even try to
replace
comfort your
him.
mother.
Yeah, and my thing is, he knows his mother knows. He just doesn't care. He knows, but he's
Yeah.
like, "What are you going to do about it, woman?"
Exactly.
He absolutely knows.
Exactly.
But one thing that I enjoyed about the show, remember it's a small scene, but when Cole was like cleaning his sword with lemon.
Yep.
Let me tell you, if you ran out of Fabuloso, go get you some lemon, some vinegar, and some baking powder,
And some salt.
baking soda. Clean anything.
Yeah. He's getting the rust and the blood off his sword. But so it's crazy. I didn't realize how many people Cole lost in that battle, right? Because Allison basically asked him what happened, and he said that the king fought valiantly, and that he lost 900 men. Right?
Yeah.
900 people. And the crazy thing is that their enemy didn't bring any, like, it wasn't like hand to hand fighting, you know? They shot some bows and arrows, and then melees came out.
Yeah, you're right. There
And-
wasn't a
and
lot
then
of on ground combat between men and men.
Yes, and then melees and Vagar came out. So the dragons on their own,
Killed
not
so many
including
people.
not including the men at Rook's Rest, killed 900 people. They're literally nuclear weapons. You know,
Yeah.
it's insane.
You just got to think about how gigantic Vagar is. So for him to fall on the ground, and they melees is really big too.
Yeah,
It's surprising, but not surprising. It's like, no, that makes sense.
900 people.
But
It's crazy.
one thing that was interesting to me, the next scene is we're back at Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra's with
Yep.
her council again, and Sir Alfred pretty much said that, like, what he said. He says the gentler sex is unfamiliar with the strategy of war and its execution. I was instantly
Yeah.
heated.
Yeah, it's like that's not necessary. You know, like this is it's crazy. Like,
But he's right, though.
where do you think women go? Yeah, he's right. But where do
Yeah.
you think the queen went? Like, women would go with war, just kind of hide in their rooms. Like, they're in their rooms too, you know. Or if they're not in their rooms, they're seeing the aftermath of it, right? And they have their sons and their husbands who's fighting in a war. So it's,
They might be nurses
it's-
in the aftermath, you know.
you know, like women have literally served in almost every war in some capacity, even if not fighting, right? In some capacity and
Maybe
help
serving
since we've been
food.
doing war.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Doing a
So
lot.
him just saying that, especially to the queen,
To the queen.
it's kind of crazy,
It's
right?
just
And then
like-
her response was perfect though. She was like, "We've been in time of peace. I've seen you've seen as many battles as I have.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, we're all new to this.
Yeah,
you know, just
exactly.
because you have a penis doesn't mean you know more.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that was really interesting to me is she proposes that her men take someplace else, and they say, no, we should do this, we should do that, we should do that. And they're going back and forth for a while and, you know, trying to figure out what to do. And at one point, Rhaenyra says to her council, what would you have me to do?
Yep.
And her council doesn't
Yep.
say anything. Do you know what that reminds me of?
Yep. When Aegon asked Alicent, "What would you have me do?" and she looked at her coldly and said, "Nothing, nigga.
Yeah.
Sit there and shut up."
Yeah. And that's,
You know.
and even when later on Rhaenyra goes to Mysaria and she pretty much says the same thing. They don't talk to me, they talk around me. So
Yeah.
it is interesting that even though Rhaenyra is way more capable and competent than Aegon, they still treat her the same way, but for a completely different reason, because she's a woman.
Yeah.
And later on, she does say, she says, what does she say? She says, Viserys did not prepare me to fight. If I had been a son, a sword thrust into my hand the moment I could walk. Instead, I was given my father's cup, taught the name of every lord and castle between Storm Ends and the Twins, but not the difference between hilt and foible. And they know it.
Yeah.
Do you know the
They know
difference
it.
between hilt and foible?
No idea. I never heard of the word full boy mean.
I don't know what that
hilt
means.
is the handle of the sword. I don't know what a full boy is. No idea. I can't even spell it.
I'm trying to spell it right now on Google that join, but I don't. Foible sword. So it's part of the sword or foil blade between the middle point. Whatever. Who cares? I'm not a queen. I don't need to know. I'm not going into war at any point.
You know, and the thing is, right, is, remember I talked about
Why is your name
that book,
Silverwing?
Leadership- I changed my name every episode.
The other ones
Silverwing
make
is one
sense. What is Silverwing?
Silver Ring's one of the other dragons.
Who's dragon? Does he? Oh, he's
It's
one of the little dragons.
No one's dragon.
Okay,
Okay. No, he's one of the dragons that's been unclaimed. Silverwing and Vermeeth.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Jason.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's one of those unclaimed dragons, and that's why I'm an unclaimed dragon.
All right.
But anyway, you completely made me forget what I was going to say, Mary. Yeah, so she doesn't have what I'm trying to get at with the leadership is underrated and self-leading teams. She doesn't have to know everything. She doesn't have to be the expert. She just needs to know when to listen to the expert's opinions and make the final say based on all the information she's given. And I feel like she's not given the opportunity for that because she's a female.
You didn't say that last episode. You said, "Oh, she shouldn't be the only one making decisions, and people should be able to make decisions without her." You said make decisions. You didn't say. You said they should be able to make decisions. Now you're saying she should be able to hear what they have to say, and she makes the final decision.
Yeah, either way.
That's different. That's different. That's different.
Basically, in her absence, they can make decisions. But when she's there, she needs to have her counsel.
I don't think they should make absence in her decisions either. If it was anyone else, I'll say okay. But I don't know. They just, like I said, they just want to send. They make decisions about things that they do not fully understand. That's why I will not trust them.
Yeah, they're not competent. Right, you have to have a competent team to do that.
They are, but when it comes, they don't know anything about dragons, and they would send the dragons out. Yeah. So it's like if it was something different, if we were just talking about war, maybe. But you guys you're not dragon riders, so shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, what do you think about? Do you fully I had to do some research when Jace talks to Bela and he decides to go to the fray. Well, he decides to meet with the Freys. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of confused by that. I didn't know why. Do you know why? Should I?
Yeah. So the Freys.
And we remember House Frey. You do not with the Freys.
I don't remember House Frey.
You don't, nigga. House Freys did the Red Wedding.
Oh, snaps! That was dumb.
That was dumb. That in Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones. The deal was this. I'm simplifying it, but the basic deal was this: when Robb Stark was trying to get the jump on Jaime Lannister during the war, he needed to pass through the Twins, also known as the Crossing. That is the area that House Frey has dominion over. So they said you can do this, but one of the agreements is Robb Stark has to marry one of Walder Frey's daughters. And he did not. He married someone else. And during the wedding that the Freys hosted, they killed everyone and stabbed Robb's wife in her pregnant belly.
I do remember that.
That was Walder Frey. Yeah. So you don't mess with the Freys, but
I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. But for those who
like you said, the crossing. It crosses the Twin Rivers, right? And the Twin Rivers, they're northwest of Dragonstone, and they separate really the north from the rest of Westeros, right? Like the north to the Riverlands. Mm-hmm. So the army that's marching north, so Stark's army, right? Who's marching north of the wall, Craig and Stark's army. Is marching down, they will cut significant time if they can cross over the Twin Rivers at the crossing versus going around the river and down and have to go through the mountainous path.
Yeah.
In that section of Riverland.
Yeah.
So it's strategic, right? And the reason why they need those soldiers as fast as possible because they can't depend on Daemon.
Because we don't know what the hell Daemon's doing.
We don't know what
Daemon
doesn't know what the heck he's doing.
And fucking his mom.
Yes, Daemon is tripping, right? There was this one meme that showed Daemon in like Louise's mansion.
Yeah.
Just running around from ghosts like
that was actually
freaked out,
hilarious.
like,
We need to post that picture. I laughed at it first, but I came back to it and I've been laughing at it for like 2 days now. Like I'll just chuckle at it silently to myself out of nowhere. It's really funny. But
You know,
yes,
and it's no. I'm about to say I enjoy Damon's pain right now
you
because
think
he's
it's
been
well
such an a
deserved.
hole. I think it's so deserved. Joe. Like go through it, Damon. Like
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
him to die because he's probably like
He's very entertaining to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
he's definitely the
Damon is
funnest character
Eamon.
to
Damon
watch.
is Eamon. They're both just the
Yes.
wild cards of the group. Like, what is this nigga
Yes.
gonna do next? No one knows.
He's
We don't know.
No one knows,
They're
Joe.
just brutal. Like, they just doing some weird stuff. But yeah, I saw this just to reiterate, because I remember you said that the twins crossing through the twins, which is owned by House Frey, would say significant amount of time. And I went on fandom and they said the twins, it lies directly on the main route from Winterfell to River Run. Moving from one castle to the other while avoiding the twins requires a lengthy detour hundreds of miles to the south, or hazardly
Yeah.
traversing the bogs and swamps of the neck to the north. So yeah, you're right. I think that was really smart of Jace.
Yo, and he just got that off the dome. He was sitting there like, I should talk to the phrase. You know?
Yeah. And the phrase, they charge a hefty charge for you to pass. That's how they make their money. But my thing is, and I feel like this is going to come back to bite them in the butt. What did the Frey wants in return? Do you remember?
They wanted a dragon to protect them, a dragon rider to protect them, right?
They wanted a bunch.
And
So that was the first thing they wanted.
and
Yeah.
That was the first thing. And then they said that they wanted Harrenhal.
They want Harnell. Yeah.
They want Harrenhal.
And I'm just
right?
like-
And it makes sense because the phrase at the crossings, right? They're like super west of the Riverlands, you know. They like you said, they only get money when people want to cross, and they're probably isolated.
I mean, they
But
probably can get money
Harrenhal is the
doing
biggest-
other things, but I'm sure that's the crossing is their bread and butter.
Yes, right. But what I'm saying is, from geographic standpoint, Harrenhal is it. It's in the center. It's right next to the other major cities. It's the largest like town, and it's the largest castle, you know, in the Riverlands. And you know, Tully, who's like Lord of Harrenhal, is dying. So it was a perfect power move right now for them to try to take over Harrenhal. Take over the Riverlands in total. Like, I want Harrenhal. I want that.
But my thing is, who's going to tell Damon that? Damon is set on he is the Lord of Harrenhal, and Jace is saying, "Oh yeah, it's fine. I'll give you Harrenhal." And he also said that Damon consented to use his dragon to watch over the twins as well. And it's like, you haven't even spoke to Damon. As far as Damon's
Damon is
concerned,
not-
he's doing his own thing, and y'all can join him.
Yeah, Damon is nobody's security guard.
Yo, and it's like, y'all making all these plans that revolve around Damon, but no one has spoke to
Yeah.
Damon. And
Well,
we
only thing
know.
I was thinking. No, only thing I was thinking is that this was after the war. So after the war is over, Damon's not gonna care about Harrenhal anymore. He's gonna go back.
He said
to King's Landing.
assuming when Jace told Rhaenyra, he said, they want Harrenhal, assuming after the war is over. That wasn't discussed.
Oh, meaning they can want it now.
They can want it right now. And Damon's over there with his ghost, and he's so hesitant. He's doing a lot. He's not giving like y'all making these plans about Damon, but have not talked about Damon. We know Damon crazy as hell. So
He's crazy.
what? So it's just
Yeah.
like, and we know, going back to Game of Thrones, I remember Walder Frey said that people have been screwing over the Freys for decades. That's why he was so mad when Rob didn't marry his daughter. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I'm wondering if this is kind of like the first instances of people not holding up their ends of the bargains with the Freys. It could be a
Ooh,
stretch.
That's good insight. That's a good insight
I'm
because I never
insightful.
would have made that connection. You're all right. I think that could be interesting if they end up screwing them over and the phrase is like "F you for eternity."
Yeah, literally. You know, a lot of these feuds, as we can see, they run deep. They run deep. And speaking of
do.
deep running feuds, let's go to Damon, the crazy ass Damon and Caraxes trying to talk to the Brackens. This was funny.
David is looking at the brackets and he's essentially like, yo, man, either take the knee and join me or be burned. Choose fire. And the Brackens is like, F you. Right? It was like he did like his little Tupac, like, F you in your, like, F you your couch, like, F everything about you. We ain't joining you or those Snake Blackwoods. We rather burn. And like gangsters, Mary, they turned around.
They turned their back on a dragon and walked away.
Dragon and was like, it just waited to burn.
Doc,
right?
he didn't flinch. The Bracken leader did not flinch on his horse. His horse didn't even flinch. Their horses look calm in front of a dragon. I said, oh no. These people are. You cannot sway these people. They don't fear anything. They hate the Blackwood so much. They say, bring it.
Bring it.
We're not doing it.
Bring it.
And it was so funny. The next scene, you just see Willem Blackwood and Damon sitting down and they're quiet for a moment. And Damon's just like, I did not think they'll be so eager to die. I cracked up. That was shot so humorously. Like, they're just like a pause. And Damon's just sitting there looking defeated and just confused. Just being like, I just didn't think they'll be so eager to. It was, especially
he was like, I didn't know what.
Especially since the previous scene, we see Caraxes lowering his head. And you think, what's about to go down. I assume the next scene will be torch bodies of the Brackens. No. It's Damon and William just there like, well, that didn't go well.
Right? He's like, I need them alive.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Damon, is a hammer. And hammers are useful when you need to hammer some stuff. But if you need to be like gentle, or you need a saw, or you need something like precision, like a scalpel, he's a hammer. And I think
that's the only way he knows how to be.
Yes, and he doesn't understand how, like you said, deep these feuds are, how the Riverlands run off of, like, their honor code is different than his honor code. They're just not going to follow you because your name is Targaryen. Does Daemon have an honor code? Well, he doesn't. Daemon's honor code is, I'm more powerful than you. Do what I want, right?
And we can see that. We could, because what does he pretty much tell William Blackwood to do?
So he gives this man free reign to do whatever he needs to do,
mind you,
to bring them
to continue. And that's really sinister, because why is it so sinister, James? Because we know the history and how much they hate each other. So you unleashed the whole Blackwood. You gave the okay to unleash the whole Blackwood hatred, probably centuries of hatred on the Brackens with no sort of restraint. You gave him the go ahead to do whatever he wants, to unleash all his resentment, and it was crazy. Yeah. And one thing I noticed about Damon's is so comfortable with brutality and savagery that when he speaks of it to William, it sounds like he's flirting.
It does. I thought he was saying like, get him drunk, like hookers, and convince them, like, be friends with them. I thought they'd go out at night at the club, and then become friends that way. Not.
It sounded like he was talking about getting hoes,
murder their wife and children.
Yes.
Yeah,
I said, nigga, what? You hear smiling and making eye contact and now relaxing. You're talking about savagery like this?
Yes, and he's like, some things the crowd cannot be seen doing. So I literally thought, these niggas going to a strip club. Like, whatever the equivalent is, he could take them to a strip club, they're going to get themselves drunk, and they can become friends. Instead, it's just baffling.
I thought he was referring to a lot less friendlier ways of persuasion.
Yes.
We were so freaking wrong. A lot more friendly.
Yeah, so wrong. So wrong. God. We underestimated Daemon, and that's the problem.
It's because Daemon
that's on us.
Daemon is just, he's the wild card. He's like Aemon, when we see these moments of vulnerability, but we don't really know what this dude's going to do next. He's just, and I understand why Rhaenyra was like, I can't trust you. And why she's hesitant to get him back, even to her own demise. It's like, man, I cannot trust you, But that scene was funny. I cracked up. But, let's go to the creepy ass Eerie.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
Erie, which is a castle in the Vale. Remember the Vale with Littlefinger?
I do
He's
remember
from the Vale.
Littlefinger. And that's where
And
Catelyn Stark is from.
yes, yes, from the Vale. And they were so who was there?
Baby Ray Ray.
Little Ray
Rhaena.
Ray, baby Ray Ray, Raina, right? So she was there, and she was basically there to give two dragons to that lady. I don't know what lady that is. You know
Her
who
name
she
is
was?
Jane Eyre,
Okay, she was gonna give two
which
dragons.
is Catelyn Stark's maiden name, because her father was John Arryn, who was Hand of the King. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. So yeah, so she was gonna give the House Aaron two dragons in exchange for 15,000 soldiers, and I guess she also wanted to live there.
Well,
Her and
she also needed a place to stay, you know.
needed a place to stay, and then I think she also brought Rhaenyra's youngest sons with her too, if I
Yeah,
remember.
she bought Viserys, Aegon the Younger. Yeah, she bought the two boys, two dragons, and herself. That's what Rhaenyra told her to do. And
Yes.
yeah, Jane Eyre is not happy about the size of the dragons.
No, she's not. She's like, what am I gonna do with these little kitty cats? Like, I need a dragon. And she's like, my gates are impenetrable by like foot soldiers. But on the ground, like, but in the air, I have no way to defend myself. And you know, when
She said
was
her
talking
hounds
about it,
were more fearsome than the dragons that Rhaena brought.
yes. And the thing is that she's all the way out in the Vale. Like, I don't know why anyone would go that way. At least not right now. I think she's the area that she's in is a low threat right now that she can afford to wait a little bit. Plus, since only thing that can attack her is a dragon, you know. So I guess if Vagar eventually after the war wants to go and capture the Vale, he can fly over there and do that. But I still think it's like a long run threat. I don't think it's an immediate threat right now.
I honestly think everyone who runs all the women of the Vale are crazy and paranoid. Because when I think about in Game of Thrones, remember when Tyrion went to the Vale, like I said, and he met that woman who was breastfeeding like her 10-year-old kid, and
I
she
do
was just
remember that.
really neurotic, and like she didn't like Tyrion being there, and like she was just like a nervous wreck. So I think the women are the Vale, like you said, because even in Game of Thrones, I didn't really see any people being like, "Oh, we need the Vale." Like they were kind of like there, but they weren't like an essential
They're mountain
place.
people.
Yeah.
Yes, they're mountain people, right? Mountain people who built themselves in the giant ivory tower.
But
with
I'm
a
like,
giant
maybe
gate
they
that's
did that
impenetrable.
because maybe their impenetrability betrays their like paranoia. Like maybe they do that because in general, whoever owns the Vale is just paranoid and like I don't know, they want to seclude themselves and isolate themselves. Because like you said, I don't understand the significance of the Vale either. Like, well, I guess, well, no, we're saying this, but here comes Rhaenyra asking for 15,000 men. So
Yes.
I guess I don't
wild,
know.
man.
I don't know why she went to the Vale. I don't know what her relationship with Jane Eyre. But you know what? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's she understands that the Vale is paranoid and Jane Eyre is paranoid. So she's like, I know you think everyone's going to attack you, even though no one's thinking about your ass. So let me send you a dragon and you give me some men. That could be a stretch, but
Only thing I could think of is the Vale is between Harrenhal and Runestone is another castle along the coast. So that's the only
you should've
reason
said
I
that
can
before.
think.
That makes sense.
No, I'm looking at the map now as we're talking.
Okay.
Right. Runestone is on the coast of the Narrow Sea, so maybe that's why, from a strategic standpoint, they want like solid footing in the Vale, you know. But I can't. It's I don't know. It seems kind of far fetched that someone's gonna go through those mountains, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and I think it was funny how Jane was like to Rhaena, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you. You're here talking smart mouth and me,
Basically.
and you need a place to stay and food to eat." Like,
Exactly, and she was like, "Yeah, you're right."
but there's something about
That was
Jane.
a Targaryen to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better, girl. You black, you should know better. But what do you think about Jane? She seems kind of shifty to me, like how she talks, and then she'll like look down or like away. So I feel like something bad's going to happen to everyone there.
Yeah, I don't think the veil was gonna get conquered because I think
Well, I
it's
think
pretty
Jane is going to
impenetrable.
do something grimy. I don't trust her.
Oh, yeah, maybe. You're right. There's a reason why they showed that scene, and if they show something, it's probably gonna be something terrible happen later. So,
And I feel like it's going to
yeah, I
happen to
believe it.
Rhaena. It's always the kids who suffer,
Yeah, you're
or
right.
even worse to the younger ones, to
Yeah,
Viserys and Aegon.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, you never know because it's a possibility that everyone dies, and that the children at the veil is now the next heir, and then now she has a bargaining chip because she now has the next heir to the king,
Yeah,
to the throne. You know,
honestly. Yeah.
so we'll see.
But
We'll see how it
anyway,
plays out.
yeah. So back at Dragonstone, we already talked about Rhaenyra complaining to Mysaria, pretty much saying no one listens to me. And what's interesting is pretty much Mysaria was like, yo, you need to take into account the small folk. They are not happy at King's Landing. They're doing work, not getting paid for it. The whole rat catcher thing and the sea snakes blockade has causing them to not have food, so they're hungry. And she's pretty much like, you need to, see what's up with them. And she said something that's interesting. She said, what you cannot do, let others do for you. And I'm like, this is similar to what Daemon did with the Blackwoods and the Brackens. He knows that he can't.
You mean? Oh, okay. Keep going. Keep going.
Like, he knows, like he said, he's like, the crown can't be seen doing things. So he let William
Yeah.
Blackwood do whatever he wants to the Brackens. And it's kind of, Mysaria's doing the same thing in Rhaenyra's case when she says, what you cannot do, let others do for you. So Mysaria
Yeah.
pretty much sends out her little birds as,
Little, little handmaidens or whatever.
yeah. Remember the dude from Game of Thrones? I forget his name. The bald man who was like
Oh, I
a
hated
Lord
him.
of Secrets.
He was a pedophile.
Yeah, I don't know if that was rumored or if that was true. Who knows?
No, that nigga was a pedophile.
But he'll call them his little birds. Like, I have a little bird. She sent out her
Yeah,
little bird to
yeah.
pretty much like gather intel and see what's going on. But do you see what I'm saying? How like that's kind of similar to what Damon did.
No, I agree. Is they empowered people, but it's just different. Rhaenyra empowered her people to go and get the heart of her people. I said people a lot, but you know what I mean. She empowered her to go to learn and get their heart. Daemon empowered the Blackwood to bring his holy and righteous wrath on his enemy, right? So it's
There is
different.
nothing holy and righteous about that.
You know what I mean? Like bring down the wrath of God on his enemies. Like that's different. It's different. But I also think it's a genius strategy, right? Because like you said,
On Rhaenyra's ends or on Damon's
on
end?
Rhaenyra's end, right?
Okay.
Because back in King's Landing, right? They Aemon shut down basically
Allison.
people leaving the castle.
Yeah, he did.
Right, he shut it down.
Yeah.
He basically made everyone in King's Landing prisoners, right? And people are trying to leave, but they can't, and they're starving, and they have nowhere to go.
And they know
All
what's
because
coming.
They know what's coming.
Like,
If-
my
like,
thing is,
wouldn't you
remember?
leave?
Yeah, I would try to get out as soon as possible. Remember what Dany did to King's Landing?
Danny.
Remember what Daenerys did to King's Landing in Game of
Oh
Thrones?
yeah, yes.
The last
Yeah,
season?
she went up and just burnt row after row after row after row, just laid it to waste.
They think Rhaenyra's gonna do that same thing way before
Same
Dany
thing.
did. They trying to get out of there, and that makes sense.
They're trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
All right. And you could tell because they're just agitating this girl, agitating her. And she has dragons. And they know that they don't trust the people on the throne. And they're like, it's just a matter of time. Even if they infiltrated even if they attacked the castle and Vhagar and everyone fought back, there's still gonna be collateral damage. It doesn't matter from their standpoint. It doesn't. It does. They don't care who wins.
Exactly.
I'm just in the crossfire.
Exactly.
I'm in the crosshairs.
I don't I don't care at this point. I don't care. Get me out of here. Like,
I'm just trying to get some meat for my family. I'm trying to take care of my sick girl, whatever that guy is.
I don't know. I know the wife's name is Kat. I do not know what his name is, but yeah, his girl's as good as dead. You saw how great she was.
Yeah, she's great. And once again, if you got a cold back then, it's a death sentence. So
she's like a fish that's been out of water for several days. That's how great she
several
was.
days.
She was like uncooked shrimp. Like, you know, you take shrimp out the pack, it's gray, and when you cook it, it turns pink.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, she needs some sun.
I'm like, dude, it's over for her. Give up.
Give up. But yeah, man, the whole thing is tragic. It's tragic.
You know what I thought? Oh,
what's up?
Well, continue your thought, because what I'm about to say is like completely different from what you're about to say.
Oh, okay. I was about to just say that the way that Aegon took power at the council, you know, because Alicent stood up and was like, we need to find a replacement. And I think it should be me because I ruled before and I've been with my husband. And he looked at her and he was like, B, sit down. Like, no one looking at you. Like, you ruled when it was at peace, basically. You ruled when the castle and the country was in cruise control. Now we're at war. And she's like, don't you think I know that?
Yeah, she was like, she said sarcastically, like, oh yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. It should be Eggman, right? And the thing is that she looked at her allies, right? The Macer, he spoke up for her, but he looked at Larys. Larys was like, nah, what it look like us bringing up a woman when we trying to keep a woman down?
Exactly. And I was like, that is a good point, though. I feel like people would be like, ooh, if a woman's going to be in the throne, what makes any difference with us going to Rhaenyra?
Exactly.
Because I do think Alicent will be the right person to rule. Like she said, what about temperance? What about thinking things through? Because Cole later on said, he was like, listen, the dragons are unleashed. This calls for levels of savagery and brutality that I do not believe that you are capable of. So Aemon needs to be on the throne. But it's like, it's this brutality that got us here.
Exactly.
If we would have thought about things and used temperance, then we wouldn't be here in the first place. But
yeah,
it's like I agree with both sides. It's like it's too far gone, kind of, for Alicent to come and kind of smooth things over. But also, it's like y'all put us here with y'all dumb way of thinking and your fight first and ask question later way of thinking. So, yeah.
No, it's it's effed up. It's just too far gone.
Yeah,
it was over.
And just
I think that
yeah,
and I think just Aemon on the throne is just gonna be like you said. I have no idea. You know, his first order, right? What did he order? He ordered that they take the rat catchers down.
And I think he only said that is because he wanted. I don't think he said that out of like because it looks bad to the townspeople. I think he only said that because he just doesn't want any remnants of Aegon's regime to still be present. I think he just wants to wipe it clean. But like, that's what Aegon did. Aegon's not here anymore. And the rat catchers was probably like a symbol in his mind of Aegon's rule. And he's like, no, Aegon's not here anymore. It's me. Take him down.
Take him down. Maybe.
I don't think it's for mercy or anything like that. But one thing I noticed when they took the rat... Yeah. And one thing I noticed when they took the rat catchers down, the dog was still there waiting.
Poor dog.
Yeah. Cheese did not deserve a dog like that.
He doesn't.
The dog was waiting. I was like, oh. But one thing that, this may be a stretch, but I remember Baela and Rhaenyra was talking about Rhaenys and how they miss her. And we find out that Rhaenys' dragon... Meleys was actually Daemon's mother's dragon. But the dragon didn't want anything to do with Daemon. She liked Rhaenys. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And I wonder in this karma, considering the fact that we always make parallels between Aemon and Daemon. Like they're supposed to be like similar characters. So it's interesting that Aemon stole a dragon from Baela and Rhaena's mother. Stole Vhagar. You get what I'm getting at? I was like, I wonder if that's karma. Where two sides of the Targaryens and Valerians or whatever, like, had that similar thing. Because, like, okay, Baelish...
I guess it might not be karma, but it just shows that dragon stealing is kind of normal.
But I just think it's interesting. Like. I think it's interesting that that Rhaena stole Daemon's dragon, and then now later on, your granddaughter and your daughter have their dragon stolen by Aemon.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I was like, that's interesting.
Okay,
but yeah.
So speaking of Baela, she impressed me this episode.
Did she? Talking to the sea snake. She sure did.
Yeah, because she came to her, the sea snake, right? After talking with Rhaenyra.
He said she wants to make Corlys the Hand.
Yes, he wants to make Corlys the Hand. And she went and she basically persuaded him, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, look, you're being asked to be the Hand. And he was upset. He was like, what more can I give? What more can my family give?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I don't remember exactly what she said. But, like, she was able to show, like, her poise, her intelligence, and what she's, like, so
and Corlys saw that, too.
So much so that Corlys was like, you should be my heir. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you are the future. Mm-hmm. And then she said something along the lines of...
She don't want your driftwood.
She was like, you need someone who is sea...
And salts.
And I am fire and stone.
And blood.
Right? Like, I'm a dragon, or whatever she said, right? Mm-hmm. Fire and blood, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, basically she's saying that, like, I'm a dragon rider. Mm-hmm. My thing is to prevail the skies, right? She don't know anything about sailing or the sea, and, like, it just doesn't work for her. Mm-hmm. But I just thought, man, I was like, man, good job, Baela. Like, she showed maturity and like she got Corlys to eventually accept the Hand.
She did. I think, yeah. She said something. I was like, go off. She said, Rhaenys was not only your wife, not a thing to be taken from you. You know, she said that Rhaenys went to fight at Wixrus on her own accord as a Targaryen princess. And it's like, it's true. Like, I feel like when you're with someone who has such power, they're not just your person. They kind of belong to the world too. And they have a duty that is outside of their relationship with you. And though it hurts, it feels like she was taken to you. It's like she was not only your wife. And she understood that fully. Yeah.
She was the queen who never was. Mm-hmm. The queen that should have been.
Who should have been. Yeah, Baela, she was talking that talk. She really did. So much so that Corlys was like, he had an aha moment. Like, hold on, this is my heir right here. You should have Driftmark. She was like, I don't want your Driftwood.
And it's crazy because
Auntie Ray
Rhaenys, she suggested that Baela be the heir. Mm-hmm. And he said no. He was like, a woman? You know, he was like, it should be Jace, but he didn't really want Jace to be the heir. Mm-hmm. So she suggested Baela, and he laughed it off until he talked to her. And then he understood.
It's like, oh, wait, she's actually intelligent? Her boobs don't make her dumb? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Wow. So then, meanwhile, Daemon is tripping again.
In Harrenhal, sleeping with his own mother.
So he was... So when the scene started, right, and it just is another blonde woman, and they're just making out. I was thinking, like, what family member is he smashing?
I asked EQ. I was like, are they related? Because I see the hair.
Like, they have to. Like, obviously Targaryen, they just, like, going at it. And then she just talking, and she was like, too bad you weren't born first, my son. And I was like, ew! Like, this is nasty. Like, this is on brand. And then he wakes up. You know, and he's eating dinner, and you saw the witch, Alice looking at him.
Mm-hmm. She knows
when he came to. She knows what's going on. I actually wouldn't be surprised if she's like bewitching,
conjuring him. Oh, you think that's her? Yeah, she could put a spell on him, a genjutsu on him.
Genjutsu, right? Because the dude is tripping balls.
Yeah, he's
right?
tripping.
And then he wakes up.
He's just like, ghost, everyone's fighting. He's like, oh my God, ghost! Ah!
He was tripping balls.
Just running
yo.
through the halls of Harrenhal, like, ah! That meme was so freaking funny. I've been chuckling about it all day for the past 2 days, like on and off. I just think about it and I laugh. That's so funny. But I like Simon Strong. He's the only person who seems happy.
Oh yeah, the Simon Strong. Yeah. No, he
funny.
seems. Yeah, no, he's funny. He seems kind of.
Yeah, it's just like they're at the table, and at first, Damon is like, okay, I got William Blackwood and his men wreaking havoc on the Brackens. I know they're going to bend the knee, so we have to host them here at Harrenhal. He's like, what's to say to Harrenhal? And Simon's just like, oh yeah, so like it's infested with bats. So there's some corridors that we can't walk through because they're full of bat poop. And oh yeah, our roof is falling apart. And would you like some more goat? And yeah, like everything. We don't have any money. It's just he's
used
just so
to.
funny.
He's so funny. I think he's used to like struggling.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is a simple life. And he probably thinks it's funny that, the crown prince came over here to to basically conquer the hood.
He put all his eggs in one basket. Yeah, to conquer the hood. I'm crying. I'm crying.
Like
that was
like
ghetto over here.
In North, right? Like,
right. It's ghetto over here. And like everyone around him is just like happy, like just oh, what you want? They just every time I see this niggas just eating. I don't see people eat as much as like Simon Strong and his men just passing food around, and Damon's just like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm here tripping balls. I thought I really like siege this great castle, but it's falling apart, and you idiots are just here content with your leaky roof and eating meat. And I'm like, I love them. They're the only joy that we see in this entire show. Like, I really do. And it's funny because Damon was like, from now on, call me the king. And he was like, huh? Simon Strong and I was like, well, what would you call me if I was a Rhaenyra? He was like, the king. There it is, consort. I start cracking up.
Yeah.
And Damon was like, don't you think that's redundant? And he just was like, oh. He said, the king. There it is, consort.
Consort. Yeah. No, it's funny, man. And the thing is later on, right, when Damon is sleeping once again, and Strong comes in and wakes him up and say, hey, man, the lords of the Riverland are here. Riverrun is here, right? And he goes out, and you realize it's more than just the Brackens who are there. It's all the major lords in the area. And they're basically like, Damon,
what the hell?
You have committed war crimes. You had women and children burned. They burned secret castles and and
they carried your banner. They weren't discreet about it.
Yes, and they carried your banner. They did it in your name.
Yeah.
They were like, I don't care what happens. We are not we're not raising our banners for a tyrant.
Yeah, exactly.
And Damon's miscalculation of the whole, and he had nothing to say because he knew he was wrong.
And plus he was also tripping. He thought his wife Lena was there with him.
Yes,
for a second.
Right?
Yeah,
but
so that threw him for a loop.
He just folded so hard. Like the failure that he had.
Like you said, he doesn't have any people skills. There's no medium. It's always just straight to brutality, like Batman. Like, dude, relax.
Just beat the crap out of you. Yeah. He has no chill, and it's a shame, man, because
it's a shame for who?
To get for Daemon, right? It's a shame for Daemon and Rhaenyra's side because they're gonna come in because Rhaenyra, right? She said Sir Alfred to go check on him in Harrenhal.
She did.
And when he gets to Harrenhal, he's gonna realize how much disarray everything is, and he's gonna realize that how many men you got? I got the Blackwoods. Okay. What else? I got the Blackwoods. That's it. We had the Blackwoods before you even got here, dude. Like,
and the castle isn't even in the state. They started on repairs, but it's like you making all these repairs with men who aren't coming anymore. Like,
yeah, they're not coming. No one's gonna do anything. You have nowhere to hold these men, to house them. You have no money to feed them. You're just over here
dicking around,
conqueror.
Yeah, you literally had a temper tantrum and went over there to claim something that you didn't do any research on. You just knew that it was a big thing, but it's like, it's just, and your arrogance is what kept you there. Your stubbornness is what kept you there. You know?
Yeah, exactly. He should have got there and like, this place is a dump, and fly away.
And my thing is, Alice, Alice told him, she said, you know, when Damon was hearing, pretty much he was being haunted by whatever was going on with the Brackens, hearing women scream. And Alice said she could hear it too. She was like, I'm haunted. I hear words about what's happening to the Brackens. Because, you know, she's a witch. You can hear things. And she's like, this is not, and he's like, oh, it's just war. She's like, this is not war. These are crimes against the innocents that any upright man would repudiate. And he said, oh, I'm not upright. And it's like, and one thing about Alice, I can't tell if Alice is evil or not. I'm like, maybe she's evil for the right causes, like evil to protect the innocent and the marginalized and the vulnerable. You know, what you think about
Why do
her?
you think she's evil?
Because don't she look evil? She be drinking blood and freaking out. No, she seem evil. She does evil shit. So I don't know. How the way she looks.
I could see witches are inherently evil, so I understand that.
I know she doesn't give Glenda the good witch. She doesn't give Hermione. She gives Voldemort. Like,
who the heck is Gwenda Mary?
Glenda the good witch from the Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, there was a Wicked Witch of the West, and there was Glenda the Good Witch.
Okay, at the East. Okay.
I guess he's the East. I don't know. But yeah, what do you think about her?
I don't trust her. I think she's manipulating Damon.
Absolutely.
I think she's giving him the visions because or at least she has a part of the visions. I think that she's the one who came up and said that he would die there too. Mm-hmm. Isn't she? I think that she might be the three-eyed raven.
Yeah,
and inherently you can't trust her. So
do you think
I guess I'm buying the evil thing now that I think about it. Put it together.
But you know, sometimes do you think she's just kind of not evil or bad? She just exists because a lot of times it like how do I explain it? There's books I read and movies I watched with these beings, and they're just like they're not set by our standards of what's morally right and wrong. They just exist. Or there'll be a creature, something that's there to uphold balance. So they'll do things that's seen as good in our eyes and evil in our eyes, but they don't run by our rules.
I guess you're saying. I think that she hasn't, at least in my opinion, haven't done anything for me to make a determination on her wickedness. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if she was pressed, she could do something evil, if that makes sense.
Okay. And one thing I noticed about Alice is that when Alice and Damon were talking, when they were rebuilding Harrenhal, Sir Simon comes up to interrupt him. And he looks at Alice as she walks past her. But I noticed that Alice disappears. Like, she walks past Simon. You see her walking past Simon in the background. But the path that she's taken, you should see her past Simon. She just completely disappears. So I think it further showed us that we don't really know if Alice is real or not.
Wait, time out. Did he look at Alice?
Yeah, he looked at Alice. So Alice and Damon were talking, and then Sir Simon interrupts him. He walks up the stairs. He glances at Alice for a second, and she walks past him. And then Damon and Simon are speaking to each other, and we see Alice pass Simon in the background. So she disappears when she passes behind Simon. You know, our view of Alice is blocked by Simon, but we don't see her come out the other end.
Holy crap. Do you think anyone else saw Alice? You think she exists at all?
That's what I'm saying.
Every interaction, it's just Damon by himself. Maybe he just looked in that area because that's who he was talking to. It didn't really see her.
Oh, you think he looked over there because Damon was just talking to himself? That could be it too.
I think Damon's schizophrenic.
Yeah, he with the ghost. He needs some Ghostbusters. I didn't think about that too. Simon probably could have looked over there because he's like, "Who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's trippy.
Yeah, but all right, let's go back to Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra and her son Jace are talking.
Yep.
And what plan do they come up with? Do you want to tell them?
So they're basically comparing dragons to dragons, and they're saying, that Melee's was our biggest dragon, but she got taken down by Vhagar and Sunfire. And, we have other dragons, but they're smaller. And then Jace has another great idea. And he's like, there's dragons.
He has a charm about him. The way he speaks.
Yeah, Silverwing and
Vermithor, I don't know. his name.
Veramith?
Yeah, I don't know.
Veramithal or whatever.
Vermin.
Basically, there's multiple dragons underneath the Red Keep right now who's not been claimed. Who's even
Red
bigger
Keep?
than Vhagar, I believe. Not the Red Keep, wherever they're at. Under the ground, right? Under where they're at in Dragonstone. And he said they've not been claimed. And then Rhaenyra was essentially like, there's not enough Targaryens to take them. Every Targaryen is paired up with a dragon.
There's no riders.
1-for-1. You can't have. There's no riders.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, there's bastards everywhere. Mm-hmm. You guys can't keep it in your pants. There's Targaryens everywhere.
And people who might have married
Right.
into other families, so their name is no longer Targaryen.
Targaryen, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And she said it could be dozens of them. So now their plan is to go and find.
Go on Ancestry.com.
Cousins. Ancestries.com. Find some Targaryens. Make sure they're on your side. And make them dragon riders. And that opens the door to so many more dragon riders, Mary?
And Oath.
So the first person. So Oath, exactly. Oath, the charismatic dude we saw in episode 3, opens the door for the sea snake, Corlys, right? Because he's also Targaryen. Opens the door.
He's not a Targaryen. He's Valerian.
He got the white hair though.
He's Valerian. Valerians have white hair. He's Valerian. So he's from House Valeria, but Valerians never rode dragons. So they have white hair because Targaryens, the Targaryen family and the Valerian family are, they're like, I don't know the word for it. They're related, but he's Valerian, and no Valerian has rode a dragon. No Valerian on their own.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Jace was like that. He basically called BS on only Targaryens can ride dragons.
And it makes sense for them to say that because they want to keep the dragons. They're not going to say, oh, anyone can do it. You just have to be brave of heart. No, you have to be a high-born Targaryen. So, yeah.
So, no, I think it's going to be, it's
interesting. That was exciting.
Yes, Rhaenyra's battle plan, right? It's to go and cause an uprising in the city and then find more people to support her. But Daemon is just doing the counter of all of that. Daemon is just undoing all the plan that she has. Just undoing everything.
Just like all that time, and he has nothing to show for it in the end.
Nothing. He not just nothing. He has negative. To show for it. He has hurt her cause.
Yeah, he has. But now he's doing it for his cause now. He said, I'm going to take the Iron Throne, and if Rhaenyra wants to join me, that's cool. I'm going to let her sit by me.
That's cool.
So That's what he get. That's what he get. For his impudence and his hubris. That's what he gets.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. So what would you rank this episode, Mary?
It's definitely a large bag of popcorn. You know what I mean? Even if there's not like fighting, this was still an interesting episode. I like the strategies that we see Jace employ. Like you said, Baela stepped up and got Corlys on board. And we're seeing what happened to Aegon was hard to watch. I enjoyed it. It was very interesting. So I would definitely give it a large bag of popcorn. Watch that, John.
Awesome. I also give it a large bag of popcorn. Like you said, I think we needed to take an inhale, a deep breath after the action-packed season episode 4. But I think from a strategic standpoint, and like you said, the excitement to see what happens next is there. So
yeah, because those last few moments of them saying, "Oh, we can go find Never Dragon Riders," I was like, "Ooh, this is exciting." It's exciting. Yeah, it was like promising. So I like that. I like how they ended on that.
Yeah. So that's it, y'all. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can follow us at Watch That John on Instagram. You can also follow the Watch That John podcast on YouTube, where we just posted our first video episode starring challengers. So go check that out. And,
please.
Yes, please.
Send it to your friends.
Blood, sweat, and tears into that video.
Absolutely.
We think you guys will enjoy it. So thanks for listening, and until next time.
Bye.